Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So as you have probably seen, Phil Spencer has shared more details about the Xbox Series X in a blog that they wrote in their xbox.com website. So the first thing here we see is that he speaks about innovative leaps in CPU, GPU and storage technology. So that's not really very new exactly, but just confirming that what's going to be there in these consoles, or at least the Xbox Series X, is going to be something quite different from what people have been accustomed to expecting. And then the details that they speak about here suggest that there are more details to be looked forward to in E3, because here he says, and look forward to boldly sharing more as we head towards E3. So why mention E3 if not being there? That's how I interpret it, at least. The picture that they share here has the key pieces of information that they have decided to share to the public. So we have 12 teraflops in GPU computing power, variable rate shading, hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing, and quick resume for multiple games, and then smart delivery. So for the custom processor, he says that AMD's latest Zen 2 and RDNA 2 architectures are going to be there for the console CPU and GPU. And actually, Digital Foundry spoke about RDNA 2 or RDNA 2.0 as something that is not available at the market right now, even for PCs. We'll take their word for it for now. And then there is this comparison. So they're just trying to make you do some kind of math and some kind of comparison, but it's just a little bit of mind games. I'll explain in a bit. Phil Spencer says delivering 4 times the processing power of an Xbox One and enabling developers to leverage 12 teraflops of GPU. So again, here we have this teraflop kind of war by saying this number there and throwing it. It doesn't really mean a lot until you see what it can do in games. And he says again to more compare twice that of an Xbox One X and more than 8 times the original Xbox One. He says Xbox Series X deliver a true generational leap in processing and graphics power with cutting-edge techniques resulting in higher frame rates, larger, more sophisticated game worlds, and an immersive experience unlike anything seen in console gaming. So that's good to see that he's speaking very carefully about this, and he's speaking about console gaming and not gaming altogether, because that would be really stupid to compare even the new consoles to what we already have in gaming. And it is also a slight suggestion to people who expect something to be unheard of, like ever. Don't get your hopes up a lot. Anyway, so let's go back to this teraflop thing. So back in the day, the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro had this kind of teraflop war, in which Google Stadia, which is a joke right now, has responded by saying that they have a lot more teraflops than both consoles combined. And as I said, the PS4 Pro had something like 4.2 teraflops, and then the Xbox One X had 6 teraflops. And so the result was not really very staggering, even though the teraflop difference was there. And in fact, the Xbox One X has excelled in delivering true 4K at 30 FPS in a lot of games, including very demanding ones like Red Dead Redemption 2. But at the same time, PS4 Pro, even though having less teraflops, managed to do something really good, especially with checkerboard rendering and the image quality was really good, so much so that in some games you barely manage to see the difference. So this teraflop thing here is a double-edged sword, if you will. And then double the Xbox One X can mean anything. So this is just double in teraflops. And is it going to be double in actual performance? That's going to be really difficult, because there are a lot of factors in there, especially the hardware accelerated ray tracing, the variable shade rating, so on and so forth. Things are going to be a lot more challenging for game developers to give players a 4K 60 FPS experience. In fact, I highly doubt that it will, or at least it will be possible with some significant sacrifice in image quality and image filtering and post-processing, etc., etc. And again, Google Stadia promised a lot of teraflops, but it didn't deliver quite well, even though it was something that was in the cloud, according to them. And then Phil Spencer mentions variable rate shading, VRS, and saying that rather than spending GPU cycles uniformly to every pixel on the screen, developers can prioritize individual effects on specific game characters or important environmental objects. This technique results in more stable frame rates and higher resolution with no impact on the final image quality. In theory, this is a really good addition to console gaming, but how developers will be able to manage that is a different story, because not everything that is possible in theory can be applicable in practice. And I'm not saying here that they cannot do it, but I'm really curious how they will be able to do it, because we don't have this kind of variable rate shading even on PC right now. And then the hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing. So here we're speaking about DirectX, and this is important because DirectX means that games can be ported to PC or from PC to the Xbox Series X more easily than ever. Mentioning that it is hardware accelerated means that it's not a kind of software trick, and that there might be some kind of tensor cores there. Again, this is AMD, so they don't have what Nvidia has, and it would be really interesting to see how that is going to be possible, because as of now we don't have anything like ray tracing in the AMD side, and you know how Navi GPUs are struggling with their driver issues these days. And then we have this SSD storage, which is old talk by now. Everyone knows that there is this kind of new generation SSD or next generation SSD, probably not like the PS5. It's not going to be as powerful as the PS5, just like some leaks and some speculations suggest, and also because Microsoft isn't really invested in talking about SSD storage, unlike the PS5 and people there in Sony saying that the SSD is one of the main components in their console. Then we have this quick resume, which lets you continue even multiple games from a suspend state almost instantly. So this is a kind of save state in real time. So I suspect that we'll need some kind of good RAM, and then also an SSD good enough, probably a one with DRAM modules, to be able to pause games and then resume them on the fly, and especially multiple games and not just one. And then there is talk about dynamic latency input, and they say that the Xbox wireless controller is going to be a lot more responsive, and it's going to be using some kind of wireless communication protocol that is really fast, the HDMI 2.1. So this is again important because HDMI 2.1 means more frame rates, means also FreeSync 2.0 and variable frame rates, which will result in a smooth gaming experience even when the frame rates dip below, because I am pretty sure the frame rates will dip below what is expected. And then there is something else which I find very good and very interesting, which is that Microsoft is committed to make people able to play all of their Xbox games in one console. And then there is something else which is good, and they call it smart delivery, and that again is showing that they learned from their mistakes, especially back in the day with the release of the Xbox One, where you couldn't even swap game discs with your friends because every game disc was kind of tied to the console itself. Now you can just buy a game, probably play it on your Xbox One X or Xbox One, and then if you plan to upgrade, you don't have to buy that game again. It's really good news. So of course this is on the Xbox Game Studios titles, but there are also some companies like CD Projekt Red who announced that this is possible also for their game. So for the Cyberpunk 2077 game, if you get it on Xbox One X and then later decide to buy a Series X, you can play that game without having to buy it again. That's really some very good piece of news. And also CD Projekt Red is a company that is more pro-consumer than other greedy companies, so big respect for them for that fact as well. Anyway, this is it for me for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe for more, share with your friends, and I will talk to you again soon. Have a good one.